let us now quickly look at the 10 biggest breakout stars in the football world this season. And we start with the latest Serie A champion, Vicha Kvaratskhelia. The skillful winger was signed by Napoli as a 21-year-old from Dinamo Batumi in Georgia at the beginning of the season for about 10 to 12 million euros. When Napoli bought him over, we're sure they didn't expect him to be this influential in just his first season. But the lad really hit the ground running, forming a deadly strike partnership with Victor Osimhen. And together, they helped hand Napoli their first Scudetto title since Maradona won it for them in 1990. Meanwhile, at Arsenal, the breakout star this season was clearly William Saliba. The French centre-back was first signed by Arsenal as an 18-year-old in 2019, but he was immediately sent out on loan, first to Saint Etienne, then to Nice, and then to Marseille. He was finally called back ahead of the 2022-23 season and was given his first start in the opening game of the campaign against Crystal Palace. There was pressure on him, but he put up a flawless performance, which sent a message that he had come to stay. From there, Saliba just went on to establish himself as one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Speaking of centre-backs, we also have to mention Kim Min-jae. The 26-year-old South Korean defender moved to Napoli from Fenerbahce last summer, and he just fit right into the team. He came in to replace Koulibaly, who left for Chelsea, and considering they got him for just 18 million euros, he was nothing short of a perfect replacement. But even with how much of a breakout star he's been, Kim Min-jae is still not the biggest breakout star from Asia this season. You know why? Because a certain guy named Kaoru Mitoma exists. The Japanese winger was first signed by Brighton in 2021, but he was immediately loaned out to Union SG. He returned to Brighton last summer, but things didn't exactly take off immediately for him. But an opportunity presented itself later in the season when Leandro Trossard fell out with Roberto De Zerbi. The coach stopped using the Belgian and began to give Mitoma a chance. He quickly proved himself to be a very dazzling attacker. He was so good that Brighton felt confident enough to let Trossard go. This season, he inspired Brighton to the FA Cup semi-final and could still secure them a European spot next season. He also broke the record for most goals scored by a Japanese player in a single Premier League season. Oh, and let's not forget his famous cross at the World Cup against Spain, which indirectly knocked out Germany and helped Japan top a group which had 2 World Cup winning nations. Speaking of the World Cup, that tournament brought some really amazing youngsters to light, didn't it? Like the Young Player Award winner, for example, Enzo Fernandez. It was Benfica who brought him to Europe last summer after they signed him from River Plate, and the boy immediately started balling. He even put up fine performances against his national team captain, Lionel Messi, when they clashed in the Champions League. Then the World Cup came around, and that was where his talents were announced to the world. He was one of the most important players as Argentina went on to win the World Cup for the first time in nearly 4 decades. But he was not the only breakout star in that Argentina World Cup winning squad. There was also Julian Alvarez. This guy joined Man City in the same window as Erling Haaland, so naturally, he received little to no attention. But where everybody began to pay attention to the boy was at the World Cup. Alvarez went into the tournament as the backup striker to Lautaro, but he soon took over the Interman as the number 1 striker. At the end of the tournament, only Mbappe and Messi were able to outscore him. But you know, there's one guy who was close to destroying Alvarez's World Cup hopes in the final few seconds. His name, Kolo Muani. Breaking into the France national team is always one hell of a task because of how star-studded it is. But Kolo Muani managed to do just that. And you know what's crazy? He wasn't even supposed to be at the World Cup. It was an injury to Christopher Nkunku that forced the coach to call him up. And he didn't even get his chance until the semi-final against Morocco, when he scored just 44 seconds after he was brought off the bench. That made him the scorer of the 3rd fastest goal from off the bench in World Cup history. Because of that, the coach trusted him enough to bring him in the first half of the final to help turn things around. And he did just that, winning a penalty which Mbappe converted in the second half to begin the comeback. France eventually lost on penalties, and Kolo and Mbappe were the only French players to convert their spot kicks. World Cup aside though, the lad is also tearing things apart in Germany with 36 goal contributions so far this season. Meanwhile, this next guy we're about to talk about is 5th on the Liga 1 top scorers log. His name is Folarin Balogun. The striker, who has been an Arsenal boy since 2008, is currently on loan at Reims, and he has been tearing things up over there in France. He currently has 22 goal contributions this season. And you know what makes this really interesting? The lad is just 21. So he could force Arsenal to make a huge decision in the summer. Do they make space for him in their already packed attack? Or do they use him as a bargaining chip to get another player they need, like, say, Declan Rice? We'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, over in the Netherlands, it's Mohamed Kudus who is the breakout star. The lad has got 23 goal contributions for Ajax so far this season. And at the World Cup in 2022, he showed himself to be one of the best youngsters from Africa. His performance against South Korea was truly one for the books. We will now wrap this up with the guy, Victor Osimhen. Yeah, we know many of you had already heard about the Nigerian striker before this season. But in this campaign, he went from being just a player to being an absolute superstar. Osimhen became a different beast in the 2022-23 season, and taking up the mask as part of his new identity sort of helped the rebrand. This season he's been scoring for fun. He became the highest scoring African in Serie A history, scored the goal that confirmed Napoli as Italian champions for the first time in 33 years, and he will almost certainly finish as Serie A Golden Boot winner. From being just an ordinary player last season, Osimhen is now being worshipped all over the city of Naples, and he's also named as one of the best players in Europe. Are there other breakout stars that we've missed from this season? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so that you never miss out on new content. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.